Hey guys, Courtney Mermaid here with the long-awaited, much-anticipated tail painting video. So this is going to be the start. This might be more than one video, I have no idea, because these take me a really long time to do. And if you're hearing like Majora's Mask music in the background, that's Eric playing in the background, having some fun with the dog, and it's good. Also, I'm wearing new mermaid top that I made. I will do a DIY on how to make this in another video. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, so first thing you should note, though there are some colors that before they set you can kind of wash them out, you should note that whatever you're wearing, you should be totally fine and happy with getting it covered in paint, because you will be covered in paint. It's not like you're gonna be up to your elbows and it's gonna somehow get on your face and on your socks. I've had it on my socks, I've had it on my pants. I think that was a bird feather that just flew by. Either that or we've got ghosts in the apartment, I don't know. Anyways, so this smock was very generously donated to the cause by Tinderfox. I'm gonna link her down below. If you guys like Twitch streams, you're definitely gonna wanna check her out. She plays a lot of really awesome games. And definitely worth checking out. I'm having a problem here. I'm having a problem here. Okay, so I'll just add in, this video is made for use on my mermaidschool.ca website, so additional information will be included with the video on the actual page that it's on. And if you're also interested in any of the previous tutorials and videos, they are all up there as well, including supplementary material, other tips and tricks and things like that. So definitely worth checking out. Again, that's mermaidschool.ca, and I'll include a link to it below. So step one's going to be getting set up. That's just all of my paint. I'm going to explain to you guys about paint in a second. I've got my tail. It's all complete and ready to go for painting. Cover up your workstation as much as you can. This paint, if you have a granite or like one of those faux granite countertops, sometimes they absorb. They're a bit like porous or whatever. They can absorb the paint. So big black garbage bags I find are the best because you can slice them open. They're pretty durable. I've been using the same set of bags since I think tail 2 or tail 3, so you know it's good to go. I've covered up a chair because last time I got paint on the chair and we were all very happy about that, right Eric?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's good. It came out though. Anyway, so that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you yourself are covered. I've got my tail, my old tail, Miranda here for reference, because she's the one that's getting redone up here, version 2, 3 of Miranda. Anyways, so yeah, let's talk about some paint. Okay, so as far as paint goes, and this is probably the single most asked question ever on my channel, on my Facebook, Twitter, like everywhere. Everybody wants to know what kind of paint I use, even though I say it everywhere. I love you guys and I'm totally happy answering questions. I just think it's really cute that I've stated it like everywhere and people still ask. So what I use is this beautiful stuff. Let's have a look-see here. This is Permaset Aqua paint. This isn't the super cover because they come out with a thicker version. I find that the super cover cracks because of how we are in these tails and we're moving and there's tugging and pulling on the fabric. That stuff's gonna crack. If you use it in small amounts, maybe for some smaller details, the idea is that you don't see through it. However, I found that even the yellow on this one, on this tail, I actually wear black bathing suit bottoms under this tail, and if you check any of my videos on my YouTube channel, you'll see you don't actually see my like black bathing suit bottoms underneath them. This is not see-through, and the material is not super thick either, so again, for any of the information on the material, the plastic, or anything, you're going to want to check out the other videos on mermaidschool.ca to get that information. Okay, so I also have laundry going in the background. I seem to always do this while I'm working laundry at the same time. It's a thing, so everything's rattling now. But right, okay, so this is textile printing ink. This is that Permaset Aqua. This is the stuff that I use. I love this stuff. No, I haven't had experience using it in an airbrush, so I can't say that it actually works with an airbrush, but it is something I'd like to try. Heads up, this tutorial is all done by hand with a very small paintbrush. And I gotta glue it back together. And I'm not kidding, that's the brush that I use to paint all my tails. So when people are like, oh, why do they take you so long? And I'm like, well, that's why. There is a reason for this. I find I can work it into the seams, work it into the fabric. I actually have a little army of these guys because this guy's coming apart. I'm gonna have to glue him back together, but I have a little army of them. So this is what happens when you don't clean your brushes properly, guys. This stuff does not come off at a certain point. Like, you actually have to use the heavy duty brush cleaner to get it off, and that's gross and smelly. And just wash your brushes out as you're working, because if they sit while you're working, the paint will just right to them. And I'm gonna pause until this is over. Everything's rattling. Okay. So other than the brushes, you are going to need sponges. You can pick these up at your local dollar store. I get a pack of them that usually comes with 3 or 4. I have another one kicking around. These guys. This is washed out, but as you can see, the fabric color just stays in it. So what are you going to do? That, you're also going to need a couple of spoons, a knife. I don't know where my knife went, but it's around here somewhere. And yeah, so those are the kinds of tools you're going to need for this job. This is what you're going to use to blend. Okay, so the next kind of fabric paint that I use is Lumiere. You guys can scope that action out here. This is also fabric paint. And this is also the kind of paint that I've used on my top. So this stuff comes in a variety of colors, and I have explained in other videos the things you want to note. So there's going to be 2 kinds of sparkles that I've noticed that they use. I think there's actually 3, because I think there's actually a copper as well. Colored sparkle. This actually has silver sparkles in it, and this one has gold sparkles in it. You can actually kind of see the shine that it has. This one's more yellow, and this one's more like a bluey silver. No, I'm not just talking about the color, I mean the shine, the actual shine that you're getting off the light in my kitchen. So the reason this is important is the way that I use them with water to kind of dilute them to get the sparkle and the shine out in certain areas. It's going to give your tail a real shimmer that you're not going to get with just painting this on in thick amounts. Trust me, it looks really cool. That's why all my tails shine underwater, and people are like, oh, that's fabric? I'm like, yeah, it's fabric. So that's important. If you're working, like, here's the example. I can actually show you on Miranda. So, Miranda actually has scales all the way up the top, okay? You can't see them because the paint actually got absorbed into the fabric so much that all that was left was the gold sparkles. So people are like, oh, why don't you have scales past here? And I say, well, I do have scales past here, and it actually took me a really long time to paint them on. So after a while, when it started to blend, was kind of disappointed, right? So I'm actually not going to be using this stuff for the top scales. Again, I'm going to be using this all the way up because it'll give it that kind of an effect where you'll actually see the scales better. So guess and test before you start diving in to working right away on your tail, because if you make a mistake on your tail, if it's a light color, it's not going to matter as much. If it's a dark color, well, then you're kind of, you're gonna have to improvise, as it were. So I find something useful, especially if you're gonna do gradients or any light colors on your tail, you're gonna want to get just a giant bucket of white. This stuff, like, sealed, and I also keep it in a secondary container. I've had this for like 2 years now, and it's still okay, so I'm sure it'll be different depending on what climate you live in, how long your paint lasts and stuff. Right now what I'm doing is I'm taking the white and I'm taking this green blue. It's just called green bee. I'm assuming that's green blue. This beautiful color, because I'm actually trying to make the same color that I had up here. So this is just the straight silver blue on top of this lighter color, this sort of like a turquoisey blue, greeny blue color here, and that blends up into this, which is actually that. So it's a process, guys. And when you're mixing colors, you're gonna want to start off, this stuff is crazy. Put only a small amount of your color in with the white, because this stuff multiplies like crazy. It's like, yee. Okay, so you can see how much that absorbed. That was like a dot of the blue, I kid you not. This is still not quite the right color. I'm gonna have to add more, but this is just a lot of back and forth. So I'm gonna keep mixing this, and then I'll check in with you guys when I'm done. So I'm getting closer. I actually just said something really important that I thought I should have said on film. Mix more than you think you're gonna need. Not like boatloads more, but kind of anticipate. This would probably be enough for what I'm using it for, but if I goof or if I need extra, if I have to try and remix this, it's a pain, a royal pain, okay? So here's 2 tips, okay? More than you think you need, and also a resealable container. A decent one that you have is proven to keep your food fresh, because I've used other ones and they've dried out in like a day and it's awful. So make sure you keep ones that are resealable. If you're not sure, then put some saran wrap and then the lid on afterwards, because chances are, like, these take me, you have to do it in chunks, right? So you got to make sure if you need to stop, take a break, and you're going to work on it in a couple of days, that your paint hasn't all dried out on you, okay? Important thing to note. Okay, so now I have my color. This is only half the battle. Now I have to actually test it on a scrap piece of fabric to make sure it looks the same on white as it does in the dish. Yes, there is a difference. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. There is actually a difference. So you guys should have some fabric left over from when you were working on your tail. Just cut a piece off, and that's what you're going to use as your dummy for pretty much all the tests. And you will be using a fair amount of scrap fabric, so make sure you have some on hand as you're working, because you're going to want to test all your base colors, and you're also going to want to test your scale colors, and then you're going to want to test them on top of the base color. And it's also a good place to practice if you haven't painted a tail before. Okay, so here's the test. We want to check to see what this looks like. You're going to grab, hopefully you guys can see me, you're going to want to grab your brush. The brush doesn't have to be wet. When we do this, there's going to be times where you do have to make the brush wet. I'm standing right next to my sink in the kitchen. I've emptied all the dishes out of one side. Well, actually, I didn't do any of that. My lovely assistant over there did all of that for me. But you should always have one sink clear of food that you eat off of. Put that aside. I mean, food plates and utensils and stuff that you eat off, keep that separate. Or keep a glass of water and a load of either towels that you don't mind destroying, or paper towel. So, yeah, so here we go. So I've got this. I'm just gonna stroke it on a little bit like that. I'm gonna do a large patch just so I can, not a super large patch, but a large enough patch. Play with it, blend it in a little bit, see like consistency wise you got. When you mix it, it's not going to be 100% perfect. You can see that there's spots where it's still dark all the way around and stuff and light. That's fine. Don't sweat over stuff like that. The little imperfections are what make the tails beautiful. I'm not saying you should make a hopeless mess. Do try and mix it up nicely, but little things will actually add character to your tails. So this looks decent. I think I might need a little bit more blue. But I'm just gonna hold this up to my tail and check really quick. And yes, I do in fact need a little bit more blue. Not a big deal. Go in, and remember, start off with a little bit, because you can always add more, but the more white that you have to add, the bigger the pain in the butt it is, so there we go, a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna wash off my brush. I only do that because I want to get the true color based off of what it is here. I don't want to have any light stuff left in the brush, just to make sure I'm actually accurate. Also, this will dry a little bit darker, not a huge amount, but a little bit darker than it appears now, so I have to keep that, take that into consideration as well. So this is not a huge difference. I doubt you can actually see a difference between these two on the camera, but I can't see, so, because I've got it flipped around right now. You can actually see there is a difference between the two of them, yeah. And you can see how quickly this stuff absorbs into the fabric. All right, let's check. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner! Woohoo! Okay, guys, preparations have been made. I now have all the colors that I need and are good to go. Are you kidding? Oh, there. Guys, this is my second attempt trying to film this portion. The first one I hadn't rinsed out my brush, and just now I thought I had put these away, but I am a winner. Anyways, okay. So the one color that I had to mix myself, the more colors that you decide you have to mix yourself, the more frustrating it's going to be if you run out of paint. So really plan ahead, and if you can use, for the majority of your base, you can use actual colors off of the actual colors that they sell, the Permaset Aqua guys, they do have a pretty decent range of colors. If you're gonna wanna do anything fancier, or if you're gonna wanna do a skin tone, you are gonna have to make that yourself. Okay, fins. This is gonna be the accent color that goes around the base, the trim, and a little bit up my ankles. This is gonna go up my calves to my knees, and then this is gonna be for the rest of it at the top. Scales are gonna be this color, the additional shine and sparkles are gonna be that color. And this is going to be diluted with water, so I'm literally just going to get the sparkles out of this, not the actual dark green that you see here. So it's going to be kind of like goldy, shimmery sparkles, and the silver ones are going to be the more obvious scales. Okay, really, I'm just procrastinating now, so let's get painting. So I have the monofin in my tail. You're going to want to do this because you're going to want to paint along the actual form of the fin. This is extra important if you are in fact using some of the thinner fins, like this guy. It's not going to be as big of a deal because this comes to a point, so the paint that you paint on either side just kind of folds around it. But a guy like this, you really want to do that because he's going to have a certain amount of thickness. Your seam's going to run right down the middle, and you're actually going to have, like, if you don't get it exact, this ridge will show and you'll have just like this little line. So make sure you're actually painting the full. If you're going for a style similar to this one, I painted this one with the flipper in there. Now I did this many moons ago now. You can tell this tail it's seen better days, but I did the same thing for this one, so you can see how I did this guy. Okay, so, and the same thing will apply to the thicker fins as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. As I come upon things that I feel need to be explained more, I will of course stop and clarify stuff. Basically, as you paint, you're going to be painting, you can try different things. If you want to try a roller or you want to try a larger brush, experiment on your scrap pieces of fabric, very important. Otherwise, the way that I work with this guy is going to be small strokes, kind of like this. You'll see as I'm going. I'm going to speed up the footage because obviously this takes me a really long time to do, and we'll be here for the next like 3 months watching me paint one bit at a time. But as I'm blending, and between this video and if I do a second video, if there's questions, or even if there's questions for this video, post them below, and I can definitely, if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can message me on mermaidschool.ca and I can give you more information or do additional videos with explanations. Okay, here we go. So one of the biggest mistakes I feel like people make is that they don't follow the form of the monofin, and they're trying to make something, like they're trying to force it, like they're trying to force the shape. So if you have a foot pocket where you can actually feel it, when the fabric's wet, it's gonna suck to that. That sounds really weird, but it's gonna suction in on that foot pocket and any natural ridges that you have in your fin, and there's a countless number of fins that you can try, not just the ones that you see on my channel. Try to follow the bones. Like if you look at anything in nature, right? I guess the form follows the function, if that's what I'm trying to say. But, you know, you even look at how the skin would wrap around your elbow, right? When my elbow bends, there isn't a weird line where stuff doesn't line up, right? So for this, instead of having a foot pocket that's all the way up here to make it look like you have more fin, which isn't like, it's not like it looks bad really, but it's just, I think it looks more realistic, or it looks more like it was planned a little bit better if you do it that way. So it's just a thought, something to keep in mind. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying, but I just think that it's a useful thing to keep in mind, really. Okay guys, so now you're gonna know exactly why it takes as long as it does to make a hand-painted tail. So you can in fact sit here with the blow dryer if you'd like. It does still take time to set. Even if you stand here for 45 minutes with the blow dryer, it's still gonna, if you press onto it with your hand, it's still gonna leave paint on your hands. So I recommend leaving it overnight. Try and put it somewhere where pets, parents, boyfriends, husbands, whatever, aren't gonna get into it because it'll still be wet for a while. You have to do it in chunks. So I usually start, as you've seen, I start with the base first. I'll do anything that has outlines or needs outlines first and then fill it in. The reason I didn't go all the way up with the blue, the lighter blue, is because I'm actually gonna be doing a gradient. And to make sure I actually have enough of this blue, I wanna do both sides a little bit at the same time. So I'm gonna leave this as it is for now. It's gonna look really weird until you get to the point where it stops looking really weird and it starts looking like something more like this, but in obviously the blues and the greens. So basically, hang in there. This is definitely a trust in the process type situation. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. You can also hit me up on mermaidschool.ca. Don't forget, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would be awesome. Subscribe for more mermaid videos. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook. Again, everything is in the description below, so check that out. Yes, and happy tail making, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Okay, bye!